Now tuned into the greatest.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The Run with Manny Wilson podcast.
The best sports podcast there is.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson, all the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, a community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, go ahead, shoot me a quick take, 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. And speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or website. So I don't know about you, but I went to the Bears game and went ahead and saved myself $20 by purchasing my tickets through SeatGeek. Had to create an account real quick and then got my $20 off. So it was a crazy Bears game, and I should start with that, but I got to save that for later on in the show just because it was crazy. I got to keep something that keeps you waiting, All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to start off with the Detroit Lions and the Houston Texans because, man, them Detroit Lions, they took over Houston in a crazy, crazy game that should not have even went in their favor. This was just wild. And honestly, let's be brutally honest for a second because let's call it for what it is. The game was very, very, very sloppy coming from a team who we claimed is the best team in the NFL. Earlier on last week, we said the Lions are indubitably the best team in the league. They have the best offensive line. We were giving them very, very high praise, which is deserved, and we've seen how they rallied up together and ended up finishing the game. But, bro, there's some things that just should not have happened, and that is just extremely unacceptable. First things first, Jared Goff, bro, come to the stand because 5 interceptions. Jared Goff, what the hell were you doing? 5 interceptions is just unacceptable. From any quarterback running an offense, that's unacceptable. That should not have even come close to 5 interceptions. It's a damn shame that the Texans blew the game, which I'll touch on in a second, but it's a damn shame that the Lions were even able to win the game after throwing 5 interceptions, 5 turnovers to the other team, and you couldn't outscore them. Ridiculous. So just before I even get all the way over there, it's just this man Jared Goff ended the half with an interception and then coming straight into the first drive, threw another interception. It was crazy. The Lions were not locked in at all. They looked completely different than what we've seen them do in these past 8-9 weeks. The offense couldn't really flow. The run game was not happening at all. And this was a defense who've also been having some struggles. I mean, the defense from the Texans is 226, I'm sorry. They've allowed 226 points so far this season, and they're 22nd in the league in points allowed on the defensive end. So this is a defense that's not terrific. They're not excellent. They're not great. This is no defense where, they're expected to shut you down. But that's what they did. So it was good. It was great to watch the football on the Texans end, watching them play defense and watching them lock in. But above all, from the Lions, they couldn't figure it out. Run game was not there. Obviously, they couldn't pass, throwing 5 interceptions. It was ridiculous to watch. It was very sloppy. But above all, they ended up rallying it together. One of the things I did love from the Texans defense, I hinted at that a little bit, is like, man, they really shut down all the running options in that first half. I love the way I seen the linebackers really attack the run with purpose and intention. It was beautiful to watch, especially on the slow-mo replays. Watching those guys really slow Gibbs and Montgomery down was just crazy. One of the things I noticed is they kind of shut out all the motion from that outside run. Like, they was not having it. They sealed off the edge every time, tried to force Gibbs to cut back in, and they were pretty successful at doing that because anytime Gibbs tried to cut back in, the gap was filled. And it wasn't that the Lions weren't blocking. It was just, man, it was just great defense. They were swarmed. It was good. It was solid. Texans looked like a completely different ball club too, the same way the Lions did later on in the half and later on in the game. So it was truly a solid game. I loved the football I seen. Jared Goff did have a touchdown pass where he locked in. He was able to get his team downfield, but It was not a game. It was an ugly game that they ended up pulling away. And for the Texans, bro, you should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed of yourself for blowing a 16-point lead, and allowing the Lions to actually rally back and win. There's no excuse for anything that was going on where you blew a 16-point lead. The offense clicked early on. They were solid. You scored 23 points in the first half and 0 points in the second half. Texans, what the hell is going on? CJ Stroud had a crucial interception, and this interception really did hurt the Texans. I felt like this was the game deciding factor here, and it really did change the course of the game when he threw an interception in the end zone, because that was a touchdown pass. And if CJ Stroud completed that pass to his receiver, we could have been looking at a completely different ball game. And I'm sure that would have set off the momentum in ways where even the Lions couldn't rally back and win that. So they blew it. The Texans, they just went out there and they blew it. They handed the game to the Lions. The defense lost all sight of what they were doing well in the first half. They let the Lions run. They let the run game get activated. And shout out to the Lions for putting it together piece by piece and going back to the basics, trying to just get the small runs and the small gains that eventually turned big. So, you know, shout out to both clubs for playing great, but man, above all, Texans, they just really, really blew this game, and this is one they're gonna wish they had back. But man, they got some injuries themselves. Both sides got injuries, but it was entertaining, man. It was an entertaining primetime game, and I'm glad we got to watch it, because the primetime games in the past few weeks have been rough. But man, it was wild, man. You just can't give a team like the Lions that much opportunity. You cannot give the Lions room to breathe. We talk about why the Lions be putting up 50 on people and 40-something on people. It's because they don't give their opponents a chance to breathe. You have to do the same thing with a team like the Lions, who's not only talented, but who's also going to play hard every single time they step on the field. That's where the Texans messed up. They did not continue to play hard. They made mistakes, and that allowed the Lions to come back and win. Anytime the Lions is giving you extra possessions, 5 extra possessions, typically any team is going to take advantage of that. A dominant team has to take advantage of 5 additional sessions on the offensive side. You have to. And for the Texans to not take advantage of 5 extra possessions, they deserved to lose this game. They absolutely deserved it. They blew it. And I mean, hey, the better team ended up winning. Yes, it was only by a field goal, but it had everybody on the edge of their seats. And what can I say? They deserved it. All right, look, so we got a quick side note here. And we got to jump into the side note because, you know, there's some teams. I try and call out the fraudulent teams. I try and call out the teams who are doing well and the teams who we should keep an eye on. But this is one of the teams, everybody's got their eye on them, but you know, I really think they're fraudulent. They got some star power over there. They had a high draft pick and Jaden Daniels. He's been playing fairly solid so far this season. And of course, the Texans are sitting at 7-3, second in the NFC East. They look pretty dominant when you're just watching NFL Red Zone and when you're just looking at the statistics of what they're doing. They look like a badass team, but in reality, this team is subpar as hell and nobody else is going to admit it. Nobody is going to say it. That is why I'm here to let you know. The Washington Commanders is not like that. I'm going to just say it, bro. They're not like that. When you look at the schedule of the teams this club has played, they have not beaten anyone over 500. And every time they've played some competition, they've lost. They lost to the Buccaneers, which is a solid team. They have a lot of injuries right now, but still we know they're a solid team. They lost to the Baltimore Ravens, who's a solid team, couldn't get it done against another 500 team. And then we seen Sunday night, played the Pittsburgh Steelers, could not get it done. I know it came down to the wire. I know it was a close game, but ultimately that's another L against a team that's above 500. Even if you look at the games that they won with the Commanders, a win is a win in the NFL. Any win is tough to come by, no matter how good the competition is, no matter how bad the competition is. A win is a win. It's huge. So don't get me wrong, but they ain't never played none of these teams that we talk about on a weekly basis that are actually good. We're looking at the Giants, a struggling Bengals when they were still early on in the season trying to figure stuff out. I guarantee if they went ahead and played the Bengals again, the Bengals would go ahead and put the belt to behind. I'm telling you they would. They played the Panthers put up 40 on the Panthers. The Bears, they beat the Bears. The Browns, who were struggling early on. Like, all of these wins, they're good wins. I understand it. Because a win is a win in the NFL. You got to accept it. But, bro, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's not talk about how the Commanders are about to go on a deep playoff run. Let's not talk about how, the Commanders are the best team in the NFC. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, because in reality, we're seeing teams go toe-to-toe with each other, but the Commanders are not one of those teams that's beating teams above 500. So I'm gonna leave it right there. I'm gonna keep it there. We gonna see what they continue to do. They play the Eagles next week. Eagles are above 500. So we'll see what happens. Because I think the Eagles going to come out and hand it to them. The game is going to be in Philly when they play. Obviously, we know the weapons that the Commanders have. It'll be a great game. It'll be fun to watch. We'll see Jaden Daniels make some good throws, some good plays. And we'll see the teams go toe-to-toe. But in terms of closing out the game, no, I think the Eagles going to end up winning that. Jalen Hurts been playing very good lately. He's been limiting his turnovers, limiting his interceptions, limiting his fumbles, all of that stuff. And when they are limiting turnovers, the Philadelphia Eagles, that's a solid team. So I think the Eagles will end up winning next week, but you got to keep an eye on the Commanders, because I'm telling you, media is going to paint the picture. Oh, Jaden Daniels got this team at 7-3. They beating everybody. This team is super talented. Which they are talented, but they're not about to cause damage in the playoffs. I doubt it. I don't think a rookie quarterback is going to really hand it to the other guys in the NFC like that. Pause. But hey, man, that's where I am with the Commanders. I'll leave it right there. Anyway, look, if you heard something you agree with, you disagree with, or you like, or you dislike, or you just want to talk about whatever we're talking about up here, go ahead, shoot me a quick take. 219-413-9405. And of course, we'll play your take back on our next episode. We do have a voicemail call though, so of course I gotta bring that up. Let me go ahead and just play the voicemail, and this is a solid one. So I dropped a clip. I was talking about the Bears, which we're about to talk about in just a second, so I'll really elaborate on everything in just a moment. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll go to the voicemail and then go to the news and talk about the Bears as well. But anyway, look, so we'll be right back. It's halftime. We got some news coming up in just a sec. All right, leave us a quick take if you heard something you agree with, you disagree with, you like or you dislike, and we'll play your take back on our next episode. So we got a voicemail line here. He called in. He had to go ahead and say what he had to say about the Chicago Bears and Caleb Williams. So let's do it. Here he is.
Hey, so I just saw your video about Caleb Williams absolutely being asked this Sunday. And me as a Patriots fan, I just love to see it. But I don't think they should give up on him just yet and let it play out to see if he's going to be someone who can redeem himself, or if he's just going to be the next Bryce Young, first overall pick quarterback that just sucks. So I think that they should definitely give him some more chance, maybe bring in an old player to coach him up a little bit, like what Jacoby Brissett's doing with Drake May. And I think maybe he'll get to the potential that he was set in the NFL draft. And if that does happen, then the Bears could be a legitimate contender next year. But this year, I think they just have to pack it up and look for a good draft pick. Because 4 wins can still get you top 5.
Okay. First off, man, hey, I appreciate you for calling. Always, anyone who gives us a call, I appreciate it. And we're gonna play your tape back. So the thing here, first couple of points I want to talk about. You mentioned how, you think they should stick with Caleb Williams and really see where it goes. I agree with you to an extent. The part of me where I'm like, they're going to become a big factor in the NFC, which means it's another team for the Falcons to worry about, and it's another team that's going to shake up the NFC North. That part of me is like, no, keep Caleb Williams. Don't even worry about we're trying to get anybody else. Don't worry about no trades, none of that. Keep them. But the other half of me is like, all right, if you get rid of them, it's not gonna make much sense. So I kind of agree with you there. But the main thing that really hit me was you mentioned how the older players' presence always helps out the younger players, and bringing in an older guy to help coach Caleb Williams up. I think this could be extremely beneficial for Caleb Williams. I said it before and I'll say it again. Young quarterbacks need to sit down and watch the game from the sideline sometimes. I'm telling y'all, we've seen this formula help quarterbacks in so many different ways. A lot of the quarterbacks that we just came off of an era watching, those guys developed because they had time to sit and watch another quarterback do their job. And it may not have been for a long time, but they definitely sat for at least a season minimum, or at least almost a full season, to see what the other guy can do in front of them before they actually took the field. Jordan Love is an example. Tom Brady is an example. Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, Geno Smith. A lot of these guys and the quarterbacks that we see now who are balling had time to sit down. Everybody's not going to be a Patrick Mahomes. Everybody's not going to be a Lamar Jackson. Everybody's not going to be a CJ Stroud like media wants them to be. They need to sit down for a second, watch the game from the sideline, and call it a day. When your name is called, that's when you go out there and apply everything you've learned and apply the reps that you've been taking. But quarterbacks going in, starting right away, it's been a recipe for disaster. And yeah, guys are going to get better and better as time goes on. But at the same time, bro, you want to bring your quarterback in to win games immediately. You don't want to just throw him out there to be getting reps. So I feel mixed ways about it. I want guys to get experience, but also at the same time, you need to be out there winning games, not just getting reps just to help out with experience. You need to be out there actually competing and being able to help your offense. Right now, we got a lot to discuss with Caleb Williams. We got a lot to discuss with Caleb Williams. Going back to the voicemail, I'm not even gonna go Caleb Williams right now, because we're gonna discuss some of that in just a sec. But you mentioned the draft pick. They still got time to get a top 5 draft pick on the trajectory that they are in. I think it's definitely time, and the Bears should just wrap it up, bro. Go ahead, wrap it up. It's looking bad for the season, and I'll explain why in a second after we get to some news. All right, and news for the run. Let's get into it, man, because we got a lot to update y'all on. So let's start off with some college football, because it was some solid college football games that happened over the weekend, and it wasn't too many upsets or anything like that, but a big upset that did happen was between Ole Miss and Georgia. Ole Miss, they ended up defeating number 3 Georgia 28-10. This caught many people as a surprise. Georgia Tech also pulled off a huge upset. They beat number 4 Miami 28-23. Was a crazy game there. Caught a lot of people by surprise. Oregon, they're sitting at number 1 right now. They took care of business against Maryland. They beat them 39-18. Ohio State smacked Purdue 45-0. Left them boys on a goose egg. Texas, they beat Florida. Ended up winning that game 49-17. Penn State, they beat Washington. Tennessee took care of business against Mississippi State. Indiana, they ended up defeating Michigan. Notre Dame, they won. Alabama got the dub over LSU 42-13. Also, Colorado ended up pulling a big win over Texas Tech. It helped them get ranked now even higher. So let's go to the rankings, because why not? So the rankings is going to look a little bit different than what you may have seen. Obviously, there was some updates from last week when we talked about the teams who were top 5. So now you're seeing the difference here in Oregon. They're sitting at number 1. Ohio State is at number 2. Texas is at number 3. Penn State number 4, and Indiana is at number 5. Now, mind you, Indiana is an undefeated school. They climbed the charts by 3 different spots. Alabama's down to number 9. They climbed up a little bit, 2 spots, but a huge fall from University of Miami. Miami was sitting top 5, but they just took this harsh L against Georgia Tech, and now they fell all the way down to 12. You also see a huge drop from the University of Georgia as well. And Georgia, man, it It was rough. So they were sitting top 5 as well, but now they're back down to number 11. So a lot of changes there. Still some undefeated teams. You got a couple undefeated that's left. You got Indiana, who's undefeated. Oregon, they're undefeated at 10-0. Both of these teams are 10-0. Indiana, Oregon. You got BYU. They still haven't lost the game, sitting at 9-0. And then you got Army, who's at number 16, and they're 9-0 right now as well. So, man, these boys is battling. They battling right now. I mentioned Colorado was also ranked at this time. They're ranked number 18. They're 7-2. Just, for my people out there on Colorado Watch with Deion Sanders and Shador and his kids and all of that. So having a pretty successful season with them right now. So got to be happy about that. But let's go to some NFL scores because the NFL definitely had a solid week so far. And we still got a Monday night game happening tonight between the Dolphins and the Rams. I personally think the Rams is going to take away that win there. But you had Thursday Night Football. The Ravens, they defeated the Cincinnati Bengals in a close matchup. It was wild. The Atlanta Falcons, they fell short to the New Orleans Saints. They have no pieces. It was crazy. I couldn't believe it. I'm at the Bears game watching the Bears, and I'm checking up the game for the Atlanta Falcons. The updates are just telling me play after play was awful, sloppy, turnover, missed pass, couldn't connect, missed block, fumble. I'm glad I didn't watch it, to be honest. I'm actually very glad I didn't watch this team fall apart. I probably didn't want to watch it anyway. I probably would have wanted to change it to something else. So I'm glad I didn't get to witness it, but I'm also very, very, very upset that they lost to the New Orleans Saints. The Panthers, they ended up beating the Giants in Germany. The Bears, they lost to the Patriots, as you just heard on the voicemail line, and we got some information about that. The Chiefs, they beat the Broncos with the luck of Cupid, the luck of a fairy tale. Man, I don't know how they beat the Broncos. They were supposed to lose this game, but they won off a blocked field goal. Man, the Chiefs working that magic. They working that magic. The 49ers, they beat the Buccaneers. Christian McCaffrey finally came back, had his first game back, played pretty solid, but above all, helped the 49ers get the win. Steelers, they ended up beating the Commanders by 1 point, 28-27. The Vikings beat the Jaguars. Eagles beat the Cowboys. Cardinals beat the Jets, and the Detroit Lions beat the Houston Texans in prime time on Sunday. All right, look, what are the games, man? We got to discuss it. Right now, the time is evident. We have to talk about it. The Chicago Bears versus the New England Patriots. Bro, what are we doing? What are we doing here? Chicago, bro. I know there's been a lot of discussion about, it's the offensive coordinator. It's the head coach. Eberflus has to go. I hear all of these different things, but nobody, absolutely nobody is putting the blame on the one person who deserves it most, and that's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams deserves so much blame on the way he's been playing in these games, not only up until this point, but definitely in this game against the New England Patriots. That's opened everyone's eyes to how bad it's really gotten in Chicago. Because Caleb Williams, bro, you're missing open throws. You can't connect 7-yard out routes. You can't connect on swing passes. You can't connect on slants. You can't connect on deep routes. What are we doing? You're overthrowing them. You're throwing it out of their range. You're missing them completely. You're not even throwing it to them at all. You're taking a sack. Like, it's bad, man. It never looked so ugly. I never witnessed such a poor game of football in my life in person. Genuinely speaking. I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm not saying this to be funny. I'm not saying this to try and get laughs, likes, nothing. I just genuinely never, ever witnessed a poor game of football to the extent of watching the Chicago Bears play offense in my life, ever. I've watched a lot of football in my life. I watched a lot of football in person. But the way that offense with the Chicago Bears ran was just nasty. That did not belong on national television. That did not belong to be seen by millions of fans and thousands of fans all across the world. That was awful. Yes, it is on the offensive coordinator. Yes, it is on the head coach, Eberflus. Those guys are bad at what they've been doing too. But damn it, Caleb Williams got sacked 9 times. Now, all 9 of those sacks was not on the offensive line. I sat there and watched. I intentionally stayed all the way through that poor game of the Chicago Bears offense to just pick it apart. I just wanted to pick it apart, just to talk to you in this specific time. He was sacked 9 times. He overlooked multiple receivers. I see why DJ Moore is so frustrated. I'd be frustrated as hell if my quarterback couldn't find me when I'm open either. It's ridiculous. He looked very stressed in the pocket, very panicky in the pocket. And to me, when I'm looking at him in the pocket and seeing how bad he's playing and seeing how he's missing open throws, can't connect to his receivers, even when they're point blank range, wide open, to me, I just can't help but to think they have officially broken Caleb Williams. The Chicago Bears have broken Caleb Williams. The same way they did with Justin Fields, the same way they did with multiple quarterbacks in the past. They have officially broken Caleb Williams. It's sad. It's messed up. It's not cool because, you know, they got so many weapons there. We all thought, oh, the Bears, you got to watch out for them. You got to watch out for the Bears. but that's not the case. This team, all the weapons they have can't amount to anything. They can't do anything. I think that the timing of this offense is all out of whack. I think the timing of Caleb Williams trying to get it to his receivers is out of whack. And it's not pretty to watch. It's awful. It's awful. It's awful football total of what we're watching from the Chicago Bears offense. The defense, they're doing their part. They're living up to the hype of what we expected out of the Chicago Bears. But damn it, the defense cannot do it all on their own. They limited the New England Patriots to 19 total points. They had an interception. They only gave up 1 touchdown. Damn it, they were doing all they could to keep the Bears in this game and keep the game close. But the Bears, if you can't score the ball, you're not going to win. It's that simple. And right now, what I'm witnessing from the Bears, they could not score the ball, and it just looks like they will not win ball games. Because, newsflash, I hate that I just said that. Newsflash, buddy. The Bears' schedule don't get any easier. It don't get any easier. This was a gimme. This was a game you needed to win against the New England Patriots. That was a game that was going to help you. But the game, it gets no easier. You got Green Bay next week, the Vikings, the Lions, 49ers, the Vikings again, and the Detroit Lions. Bro, the Bears are about to go on a 9-game losing streak. Let's see how many. They're about to go on a huge losing streak. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The Bears will legitimately probably go on a 9-game losing streak. This is not me being funny. They just already lost 3 games straight. Now they got the Packers, Vikings, Lions, 49ers, Vikings, Lions, and Seahawks and Packers to finish the season. They're probably going to lose 9 straight games, if not 11. And it's nothing they can do about it. They're going to get the top 5 pick again. But we'll see what they do with that. Eberflus is going to be gone. Any Bears fans in panic mode right now, relax, bro. It's okay. Eberflus is going to be gone in 2 weeks. Just give it that time. He'll be gone. He'll be gone because they're gonna continue to go on a losing streak. At the very most, Eberflus is going to be their head coach for the Chicago Bears. Maybe to the end of the season. But the Bears will be words I'm not going to use if they continue to keep him. It would be silly. It would be silly. All right, I think I've got all of that out. Oh my gosh, I've been holding all of this has been on my mind since I was at the game. I dead ass, I kid you not, I dead ass wanted to just, if I had a microphone to record a full episode at the game, I would have done it right then and there. This was, bro, the Bears are just dysfunctional on the offensive side. Like, the defense is straight. The defense is holding it together. The defense is, doing their part as much as they can. But bro, this is just not it, bro. Oh man, it's rough. Anyway, all right, look, I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. I appreciate you if you've been kicking it with me this whole time. You listen to the Bears, you listen to how bad they are, all of that. So I appreciate that, of course, man. And we're gonna wrap up the episode, but I'm gonna leave you with a positive note because I always try and leave something positive from the episode. If you listen in sections or you listen to the whole thing, the positive note I'm gonna say here is, man, just be kind to yourself as you would to others. And I know you can say that same thing in a different way of like, oh, be nice to others as you would yourself, which is true. You want to be nice, but also a lot of times we find that we're so nice to other people and we don't give ourselves that same leeway. For instance, someone at your work doesn't get something done, you might be the one to let them have it. You might be the one to let them have it, or you might let it slide, whatever the case is. But we give people leeway all the time. So give ourselves that same leeway. Give yourself that same leeway to an extent. Now, I ain't saying go all free willy and wild out, whatever, but to an extent. To an extent. You still got to be somewhat disciplined. You still got to take care of yourself. But I just mean, if your body needs to rest, it's okay to take some rest. Like, it's that simple. It's that simple, above all. So I know it's not super clear, but accept that however you want to accept that. I'm gonna leave y'all with this, man. I'm up out of here. I'll be back later on this week. Send this to a cousin, a brother, an aunt, an uncle, a niece, a nephew, a coworker, a friend, a spouse, a partner, your side piece. Hopefully you ain't riding dirty like that, but hey, y'all live your own lives out there. All right, send this to anybody you know, man. I promise you they're not gonna mind, especially if, you know, they heard the take. But last thing, man, leave us a quick take on a voicemail line as well, 219-413-9405. If you heard something you agree with, disagree with, like, or you dislike, and then go ahead and use that promo code, The Run Podcast. Save $20 off your first ticket purchase when you use the promo code, The Run Podcast with SeatGeek. All right, I'm out of here, man. I've been talking too long. But we'll be back later on next week or this week, and so on and so on and so on.